compare your mind to the most sophisticated man-made device ever created, the computer. The average computer can hold about 250,000 pictures, 20,000 songs, and hundreds of full-length videos, nowadays on something the size of my finger. Crazy. But let's compare it to your mind. Your mind can perform an estimated 10 quadrillion operations per second without you even knowing it. Wild. Ask yourself right now, what's making your blood flow throughout your veins with the perfect amount of pressure to keep you alive? What's making your heart beat right now? Are you consciously commanding your heart to beat right now? No. What's maintaining your body core temperature to the perfect degree to keep you alive? What's doing the 6 trillion things to your 60 trillion cells every single second? It's something called your subconscious mind. This is the powerhouse to who you are. Your cat has it, even your puppy has it. But of all the things that your subconscious mind can do, it can't do one thing. And this thing can help you attract good things into your life, or can absolutely demolish your health. What is that one thing it can't do? It can't distinguish between a real event and something you merely think about. Sounds absolutely ridiculous, right? What happens when you have a nightmare? You wake up, your heart is pounding, you're sweating, and you're anxious beyond words. The nightmare existed in your mind. You weren't in any real danger at all, but your mind didn't know that. You physiologically reacted as if the nightmare was actually taking place in reality. There was a study conducted where a doctor hooked up an elite athlete, a professional skier, to a device that measured the athlete's muscle fibers. He told the skier to merely think about skiing down a hill without moving a muscle. The act of thinking about skiing down the hill actually made the same muscle fibers that would have actually fired off if he were to be actually skiing fire off from thoughts. This has been demonstrated time after time with the placebo effect. Group A suffering from a particular illness gets prescribed a pharmaceutical FDA-approved drug specifically designed to treat that illness. Group B suffering from the same illness gets a sugar pill, thinking it's real medication. Both groups get cured. In fact, the New England Journal of Medicine published a study involving two groups suffering from the same degenerative knee disorder. Group A had a surgery designed to scope out the knee and relieve the symptoms of the disorder. Group B, with the permission of the family, had a fake surgery, a placebo surgery, thinking that they had a real surgery. Only 3 small incisions were made in the kneecap, but no real surgery was performed. Both groups reported that the surgery was a success. In fact, researchers are suggesting that a minimum of 1/3 of all medical treatment, including surgery, is due to the belief that the treatment is going to work, the placebo effect. Most people don't realize that there is also something called the nocebo effect. It's practically the opposite of the placebo effect. The mind, instead of curing illness, contributes to illness. That's what a hypochondriac is. Their belief that they're going to develop a disease actually causes them to experience the symptoms of it. Whatever belief you hold in your subconscious mind will become your reality. Bottom line. That's how hypnosis works. The hypnotist implants the idea in the back of their subject's mind, and the subject experiences whatever they hold there. If they hold the belief that there's a spider on their arm, their eyes actually see a spider on their arm. An amazing demonstration occurs when the hypnotist walks towards his subject with his finger extended. He tells the subject that his finger is hot and burning. The hypnotist slowly touches the subject on their arm, and a blister actually forms in the exact place that the finger touched. Now, this is crucial to understand in all healing. Free will, as we understand it, is practically an illusion. In fact, 2 to 4% of the time, you decide what you want to do. You actually make the decision. 96 to 98% of the time, you don't. You're on autopilot. Your subconscious mind controls your decisions 96 to 98% of the time. Don't believe me? Do you like ice cream? If you do, snap your fingers and stop liking it. Do you enjoy watching sports? Snap your fingers and stop enjoying it. You can't. 96 to 98% of the time, everything we crave, desire, and act upon comes from what we hold predominantly in the back of our subconscious minds. Whatever we hold predominantly in the back of our subconscious minds, we are attracted to in life. What happens when you buy a new car? It's the only car you see on the road for the next 2.5 weeks. You saw those cars before you bought your car, but why didn't they stand out to you? Because you didn't own that car yourself. You weren't thinking about it yourself. What you hold in your mind, you're attracted to in life. That's how subliminal ads work so effectively. They work so effectively that they are banned in over 10 countries as a way to advertise. So if what you hold in the back of your subconscious mind shapes your reality, what shapes your subconscious mind? Practically everything that you're exposed to, everything that you see, hear, smell, taste, and feel is shaping your subconscious mind. Let's look at some specifics. Television. Here's a scary stat. By the time a child finishes elementary school, that child has witnessed an estimated 8,000 simulated murders on TV. All of these extremely graphic scenes are sinking back into their minds. And don't be tricked by Hollywood or cartoons. In the most important developmental years, when a child should be taught compassion and understanding, extremely intelligent minds behind the creation of perceived harmless children's cartoons are sinking violence into the back of their minds. Don't be fooled. What are you listening to on the radio? Every single word or thought you hold in your mind has a particular vibrational frequency. Negative words or intentions have slower vibrational frequencies, and positive words have higher vibrational frequencies. This is a song by Lady Gaga called Bad Romance. Some of the lyrics are, I want your drama, I want your ugly, I want your disease, I want a bad, bad romance. Our thoughts create us. We have to be extremely careful with what we are feeding our minds. Music can be beautiful and beneficial, but it can also have a negative impact on your health. Choose wisely. When I was growing up, the most violence we had on video games was Mario and Luigi jumping over turtles' heads. This is what our youth are playing today. These gruesome, extremely graphic images are sinking into the backs of their subconscious minds, weakening their immune systems and having astronomical, gradual negative effects on their health. Nobody's saying that these games are going to cause them to pick up a gun and go shoot somebody, but these games are affecting their health. There is zero doubt about that. What happens when you gossip? In order for you to gossip, you have to hold a negative memory and negative thought inside of your mind. You not only think about that negative memory, you share it with the other person that you're talking to. The second you hold negative thoughts in your mind, the biochemistry of your brain changes and you release cortisol, the stress hormone, into your blood, which then weakens your immune system, inhibits the actions of your white blood cells, increases the chances of infection, and even promotes weight gain. All from gossiping, all from your thinking. You can't gossip without hurting yourself. Remember that. But of everything you can expose yourself to, there is nothing more important than the thoughts you hold in your mind. We have on average 60,000 thoughts a day. And the reality is, not only are most of these thoughts the same thoughts we had yesterday, but they are negative thoughts, either dwelling on something bad in the past or fearing something that could potentially happen in the future. The second we have these negative thoughts, the second we release cortisol, the stress hormone, into our blood. Our thoughts create us. Most people believe that situations cause them anxiety, stress, or cause them to be depressed. The reality is this: there is absolutely no situation in the entire universe that can cause someone to experience anxiety. None. It's your psychological reaction to the situation that can cause you to experience anxiety, not the situation itself. This is crucial to understand. Why is it that when one person skydives, their brain releases endorphins, the good feeling chemical, into their blood, while releasing cortisol into another's? It's the same situation. How can the company of one person cause excitement in one person while making another person stressed? It's because it's never the situation that causes anyone to experience anxiety, but their reaction to it. You create your anxiety, not a situation. When you truly fundamentally understand this truth, that's when you realize that you control your anxiety, not a situation. It's one of the most liberating feelings you can ever experience. If you create it, you can take it away. Your thoughts control your life. You are the creator of your everything. Choose your thoughts wisely. God bless.
Another thing I really wanted to talk to you, David, is about the universe and life. I know many people have their own personal understandings of it, but I really wanted to know, in your own beliefs and your own opinions, what is the ultimate secret of the universe?
The ultimate secret, I would suggest, is, and it's not really a secret, because people have known about it since any time we know. It's just that in the mainstream, that secret is a secret because it's suppressed from the population, because the liberation that the knowledge of that secret gives you in terms of power and perception of self and reality is so powerful that a population with any number of people, really, any sizable number of people in that awareness of this secret would never ever be able to be controlled by a few as people are today. And that secret is that we are, what are we? We are infinite awareness. People say, well, what are we? They look for form, they look for bodies, they look for this, they look for that. No, no. Just imagine. Awareness. Just awareness. And this awareness is infinite, and this awareness interpenetrates everything. Whether it's a tree, a blade of grass, anything, that awareness is there. The question is, what scale of awareness are you accessing? And that comes from our, what I would suggest is our point, the point of attention of that awareness. What I mean by that is, I'm infinite awareness. All that is, has been, and ever can be. All possibility. You know, people say, what do you mean all that is, has been, ever can be? You can't, you can, because what am I saying? I'm saying all possibility. And all possibility must be something that is and isn't, something that is everywhere and nowhere, something that is everything that has been, is, and can be. That's what all possibility is. So we are all possibility awareness. Point is, where is the attention of that awareness at any point? And what the body does, the lens of the body, is it focuses our attention into a tiny, tiny range of frequency that science calls visible light, which is so tiny it's almost infinitesimal. It's laughable. I mean, humans are blind compared with what even mainstream science says exists beyond the visible range. And so that's our point of attention. But you can be in the body, in the world, in terms of your perception through the five senses. And you can also be beyond the world, because your point of attention, while it is locked into the five senses, and should be, because that's what we're experiencing here. Try experiencing this world without the five senses. Not, you know, big challenge, have a go. But you then expand your awareness, so it's not just that. It's actually the understanding that you are infinite awareness. That means you're in the world and interacting with it. And what the body does, see, our awareness, in its pure sense, I couldn't do that, because that would be on a totally different frequency to my infinite awareness in its pure sense. So we take on these outer shells that are within the frequency range we want to interact with, the body, what I call the biological computer, or the cosmic spacesuit, biological spacesuit, and therefore I can interact with the world. But if you have this range of awareness into the true sense of what we are, you realize that David Icke is not who I am. Luke is not who you are. It's the name for a current experience of infinite awareness. And your infinite awareness and my infinite awareness is the same awareness. It's just got 2 points of attention. One's called Luke and one's called David. And once you realize that you are infinite awareness having an experience, then that knowledge can allow you to take control of the experience, because you know it is in your power to do that. And this is where the conspiracy, we can talk about the conspiracy on the 5 sense level, and I do all the time, but if we're really going to understand the basis of it, the foundation of it, we have got to get much, much deeper in an understanding of reality, because that's where the conspiracy is coming from. We see Bilderberg meetings and banks and all the rest of it, and we should investigate them. But where it's all coming from are these inner sanctums that understand how reality works, and therefore can manipulate a population that they have systematically misled and suppressed, so that they don't understand how reality works. And if you understand reality and the interactions of reality and how we create our experience by our sense of reality, then there may be a few of you, and the population may be billions. But if you know how it works and the population doesn't, you are in a mega position of power and manipulation over the population. So the last thing that the conspirators want is a population with an expanded state of awareness, which is in this world to interact with it, but is not of this world in the sense of its ultimate point of observing the world. It wants people in the 5 senses and in the world and of the world. Why? Because once you've removed people from that big picture filter where you see how the dots connect, suddenly the dots don't connect. What the 5 senses see are dots. They don't see connected dots. This is why the mainstream media, which is a 5 sense profession overwhelmingly, will talk about different elements of the world, but will never connect them to see the picture and therefore the connections between them. And so when you're in 5 sense mode, and you've not got this bigger picture filter to see what's really going on, there's only one place you can look to get a fix on the world from information that you are receiving to get that fix, and that is this way. And if you go that way, what comes back in terms of information? The mainstream media, the education system, mainstream Stone Age science, and I'm sorry, Stone Age, it's only an analogy, and all the other stuff that's coming back. In other words, this is this conspiracy in one sentence. Pull people into people's sense of attention, point of attention, into the 5 senses, so that dominates everything. And then program that sense of attention in isolation from its true self with the information you want them to believe and the perception of self of the world you want them to believe. Gotcha. And what do we talk about, Luke? We talk about the fact that there's an awakening going on. Well, what does that mean? You know, did the alarm clock's just gone off? Are we getting up? What time is it? No. Awakening, another word for awakening, or another phrase for awakening, is the expansion of point of attention. Yeah. That's what it is. So when people expand that point of attention, it's symbolically, it's like the 5 senses is looking at this red thing, which is a bit blurred. What's going on? And then as your point of attention expands, you realize it's a brick, and you realize it's a wall, and you realize it's a house, and then you realize it's a town, and a city, and a planet, and you know, suddenly it makes sense. Yeah. But most people are looking at the blurry brick and saying, this is the real world, and it's really a world that we are programmed, that we've been put into, so we don't see the real world.
And there's a lot more to this world that we actually don't even see or perceive or understand. And many people have actually, when they use DMT, they actually say that this helps them understand the greater understanding of everything. We were talking about DMT last night, and we talked how we had very similar experiences when we were on it. Can you tell us about your experiences and what you took out of DMT?
Well, I took it in the form of ayahuasca. I took it twice in about 3 days in Brazil in 2003. I've not touched it since, and I don't feel the need to. But the experience I had was massive. And for me, people say, it took me somewhere. I don't think it takes us anywhere. I think it takes us to where we already are. And if we're in a really deeply negative state, you can take this stuff and have a real, what they used to call in the 60s, a bad trip. Or if you're in another state, you can have a wonderful experience. My experience was just unforgettable. I mean, I had a voice, a woman's voice, which is, what is a woman's voice? Oh, it's just, it's a woman talking to me. No, it's a frequency. It is an information field of a certain frequency, and certain frequencies you decode as female and certain frequencies you decode as male. It's a consciousness that is communicating, and almost certainly, it has to be if we're all infinite awareness, it's an expression of your own consciousness, just a very much deeper level of it. And for 5 hours it talked to me about the illusory nature of reality, and I had instant recall of every word afterwards, which was amazing in itself. And I was taken to a place, I'm using human language here, taken to a place.
It's very hard to describe. Yeah.
And I tell you, it's a place that I experienced as beyond the realm of vibration. Because anything that vibrates, this is actually, funny enough, Luke, this is one of the many really stunning lines that this voice communicated to me. Because when it started off, it said, we're going to take you to where you come from, so you will understand better where you are and where you're coming back to. And then it kept repeating, this is right at the start of this voice starting, 5 hours. Infinite love is the only truth, everything else is illusion. And when you study near-death experiences and all that stuff, when they go into these realms beyond the body, I have never come across anyone that wanted to come back, because they talk about this unbelievable bliss and love and all the rest of it. And anyway, I had this stunning line I was talking about at one point. It said, infinite love is the only truth, everything else is illusion. If it vibrates, it's illusion. Because the pure, infinite, all that is, all possibility, is still and silent. People think that things have to move to be something, and actually silence is all sound. It's all possibility waiting to manifest. So if I'm talking now, I have picked out of that infinite possibility of sound, I have picked out the words that I am talking. And when I stop, apart from the traffic, it's gone back into silence. Within the silence is everything. So I experience this as this silent stillness, as the infinite point of attention. And it took the form of a... this sounds really funny, but if you've experienced it, people know what I mean. I saw it as a shining blackness. Shining blackness. Now, years later, in fact, in the last 12 months, there was a doctor called Ibn Alexander. And he was, I think he's in New York, and he was a neurosurgeon. I think he still is. And he was one of these rigid kind of people. He admits it in his book. I was one of these rigid people that, you know, obviously people would have near-death experiences when he was doing his surgery sometimes, and they'd tell him their stories. And as he said, I thought, oh, that's very interesting. A lot of rubbish, but it's very interesting. And it was like mainstream. This is not possible. This world is all there is. And then he got it was a form of meningitis that was so bad that his brain shut down in every area apart from the most primitive level that was necessary to keep him alive. This man, in effect, died for 7 days, and this is the interesting point which he points out. When people talk about, and there's millions and millions of them now, when they talk about near-death experiences, the mainstream scientists, they go, oh, it is not impossible. And God, please, God save us from science. And anyway, because what they're doing is they're just reliving their experiences from this part of the brain, and that's what's happening and all that stuff. Well, that part of the brain, in his case, completely shut down. It was inactive, so it ain't coming from there. And he came back. He should not have lived. That was a virtual impossibility for him to live. It was certainly almost absolutely impossible for him, if he did live, to be anything more than a vegetative state. And he came back after a transition period completely normal and went on with his life. And he wrote this book about it, which became a New York bestseller. Why I'm telling you this story, it's very interesting, I think, is because when he first left the body and had a near-death experience himself, he entered a realm. I talk about this in the new book that's coming out in the autumn. He went into a realm that was classically the realm of the demons and the what I would call the archons and the reptilian entities and all this stuff. In fact, he talks about seeing reptilian beings brushing against him and all that stuff. And then a light came down, and he was taken out, what he called through the gate, into this amazing, blissful place, and on and on and on, until, this is where I'm coming round to, he said he was taken to experience the ultimate, the source. And you know what he calls it? The dazzling darkness. Wow. Exactly what I experienced. Yeah. And the dazzling darkness is mesmerizing, because it is all that is, has been, and ever can be. And then we pull that all potential, all possibility, all potential into worlds of certain expressions of that potential, and this is one of them. And so that experience with the ayahuasca, DMT, was massively important for me, because what I did then, you know, what I do when I research, I don't just take one thing and then say, well, that's all right then. I came back to England and I looked at the mainstream science in all the different areas to see if I could confirm that what was being said was true. Everything checked out, the whole bloody thing. And once you've got this point where you realize it's an illusion, you can still interact with the illusion and live in the illusion, but you know it's an illusion, and illusions only control you when you think they're real. This is why it's important to understand the nature of what we're in, because if we think this is solid and all the rest of it, what does solid say immediately? Limitation, can't be done. And yet it's just a holographic projection of infinite possibility, which is totally malleable and can be changed any time.
It's fascinating, it's amazing, because just so people know, DMT is a natural recurring chemical in your brain. It comes out a little bit when you dream, but when you pass away, it's just flooded in your brain, and you could actually take it in the physical form and actually see what happens. I had the very similar experience, just blinding darkness, and then a lady telling me the same thing, that love is the ultimate answer, love is the ultimate solution. It sounds crazy, it sounds insane, but there's a lot more to everything than we actually know.
Yeah, this is an interesting point, because when you look at people in so-called history, way back, take Leonardo da Vinci, and another guy who followed him in Italy very soon afterwards, a couple of decades or so, called Giordano Bruno. Da Vinci is remembered by most people as the painter of the Mona Lisa. The man was an absolute technological genius. I mean, I've seen documentaries about him, and he was 500 years ago, where they found his notebooks. Interestingly, one of the biggest collections of Da Vinci's drawings and stuff is at Windsor Castle, and one of his notebooks is owned by Bill Gates. I mean, these people know, you know, about a lot of this stuff. So they just keep it from us. And this documentary took drawings and technical text which he wrote in these notebooks, and they tried to make it, and it worked. Sikorsky, with the development of the helicopters, said that he studied Da Vinci's work on that form of flight, because Da Vinci was obsessed with flying. And the first kind of armored tank-type vehicle he drew and designed 500 years ago. An interesting thing too, in those days there was no copyright, So there was a fundamental flaw in every single thing that was in that notebook, everything he designed. What he'd done is take one part of it and turn it over the opposite way. So if anyone found the notebook, they wouldn't be able to build it. It wouldn't work. But he knew that. Why I'm telling you this story, and why I'm going on to talk about briefly Giordano Bruno, who was burned at the stake by the Roman Inquisition in 1600 for the crime of saying there are multiple worlds and supporting things like the earth goes round the sun and, you know, all the rest of it. These people, when you read their stuff, were so far advanced of their era. And what people say about them, even today, like Da Vinci, is he was hundreds of years ahead of his time. He wasn't. He wasn't. He was beyond time, right? This is the key to understanding this stuff. We are within this frequency range I'm talking about with, within the five senses, and most people are held in that frequency range. That frequency range is a range of energy, which means a range of information. If you can expand your mind and go beyond that into those upper realms, you're going into another level of information, inspiration, insight, and understanding. Now, we think of a linear Stone Age through Middle Age, through Victorian Age into Modern Age, and we see that progression. This level of awareness, but that's just a sequence of events within this tiny frequency range. That level of awareness is always there. It has always been there. In the Stone Age, if anyone could have expanded their mind, they could have got into that level of insight. And all the people like Da Vinci are doing, and Bruno were doing, is in their era, when most people were so suppressed, not least in those days because religion was absolutely squeezing people's sense of perception, they were going into these realms where this knowledge existed. And when they bring it from the unseen into the seen, they're caught ahead of their time, and all they do is accessing the library. So when you talk about, you know, a female voice saying everything is love, and I talk about a female voice saying everything is love, and I see this sparkling darkness, and you see this sparkling darkness, and Ibn Alexander, the doctor, sees the dazzling darkness, all you're doing is expanding your mind and going into that level of reality where you can experience these things and get the insight from them. It is so simple. But the worst nightmare of the conspiracy is having people go in there because they see the bloody conspiracy. So you've got to keep them here, and that's what it's all about. That's what microchipping's about. That's what transhumanism is all about. It's about fusing microchips and fusing technology with the body to stop it being its true design, which is to be a vehicle for the body to experience this reality, but also allowing consciousness to expand beyond. They want to stop the second bit. That's what the microchip's about, really. I mean, many other things, but certainly that.
Pineal gland exercises, a part of the series, How to Open the Third Eye. Everyone has spiritual guidance. Your spiritual guidance is happy every time you make the connection. And these messages are given to you with the intent to spread the power of the great creative substance throughout the spoken word. May it be shared consistently to reach the masses. How to open the third eye, stimulating the pineal gland. You can easily stimulate the pineal gland through the mouth by using the tongue and by paying attention to vibrations on the roof of the mouth. The quickest and easiest way to stimulate the pineal gland is through the mouth. The power lays within the vibrations carried by the roof of the mouth, and it is the tongue that stimulates those vibrations. We have 4 exercises for you, and before we conduct these exercises, we also want you to hear the sounds of different vibrations and how the forming of these vibrations and these sounds will help you open your third eye. We have found a people who have been around for more than 50,000 years. These people are still in existence today and come from the tribe of Solomon. They speak what we call a click language. This click language uses the tongue and the parts of the mouth specifically to create vibrational sounds.
There's a reasonable hypothesis that these clicks are in fact ancestral sounds which have been lost in all of the other world's languages, probably lost just once in Africa. And then the group which lost these clicks left Africa and spread throughout the entire world.
The way the tongue is used in these click languages is the exact method we need to use to open the pineal gland. These exercises work. Awaken your pineal gland in 7 seconds or less. This is the series on how to open your third eye and connect with your spirit guide. Through pineal gland exercises. This is pineal gland exercise 1. Glide the tip of your tongue around the roof of your mouth.
Right on the roof, but don't put it flat. It's just the tip of the tongue.
You will experience a tingling sensation. Immediately your body is saying to your consciousness, awaken me. For at least 2 consecutive minutes, glide your tongue along the roof of your mouth, backwards and forwards. While you're doing this, say kind, loving things to yourself. Pineal gland exercise number 2. Listen to the sound in this video. The sound you make will sound very similar. Blow sound through your mouth as you roll your tongue. Your tongue must touch the roof of your mouth. Do this often throughout the day. Some call this making a cock-a-doodle sound.
You got the doodle though?
That was dope. That was dope.
Wow. See how I just did that?
Yeah, that's
See how they brought all the boys to the yard?
Look at her eye.
Some African
Look at her eye. Yeah, you know what I'm
persona
saying? I'll take it back to the motherland. You know what I'm saying?
You know what?
Pineal gland exercise 3. Put the tip of your tongue on the roof of your mouth. Whip the tongue forward, making a clicking sound. For me, the vibration is felt more intensely when I keep my mouth as closed as possible.
It's almost like it's like a whiplash almost, or like using your tongue. So you go like, see how I place my tongue on the part of my mouth. Eh? It's like, I don't, it's not totally flat, it's just the tip of my mouth.
As with all of the exercises, the vibration is what we are striving to strengthen. It is the vibration within us that activates the pineal gland. Pineal gland exercise 4. Lay your tongue gently on the edge of your bottom set of teeth and gently close the top set of teeth so that the tongue is between both top and bottom sets of teeth. Send or blow a sound through the mouth until you feel your teeth vibrating. Okay, my spiritual guidance is telling me to just go ahead and show you guys what it is right now. And I'm going to do that. Okay, the roof of your mouth is a sensitive area for your pineal gland. When you're speaking, if you can feel a vibration at the roof of your mouth, your pineal gland will always be awake and listening to you because it's listening for that vibration that's coming through. Now, for me, I use the power of the spoken word. So because I use the power of the spoken word, I do exercises that help strengthen that power within me. Other people will use other powers, but we'll go over those powers a little bit later. Right now we're talking about how you can awaken your pineal gland. So what you want to do is you want to do an exercise, and that exercise is you are going to make an sound. You're going to close your teeth and breathe. Only enough so you can feel your teeth vibrating. And you're going to go, you will keep making that sound until you feel a vibration within your head. So you're going to go, you hear the vibration and you feel the vibration. You feel the vibration vibrating through your teeth. You feel the vibration vibrating at the roof of your mouth. You keep that up. And you keep doing it throughout the day, however long it takes. This is waking up your pineal gland. And you keep that vibration up for as long as you want. Do it often. And you will start noticing, excuse me, you will start noticing a difference within yourself. Now, the reason why I just coughed, I have to tell you, is because I must have eaten something, or I must have, there's something that needs to clear itself that should not be within my vessel. And that cough is actually bringing it out. What I did was I just cleared out some of my energy in my throat chakra when I did the vibrational sound. So that vibrational sound works. Do it on a regular basis. This will help you awaken your pineal gland. When your teeth vibrate, the sound will change according to the vibration. The vibrations created by completing these pineal gland exercises will help to awaken your pineal gland instantly.
Hi! Perfect timing. How are you?
Good.
Good. Thank you so much for coming. Hello.
Hello.
Nice to see you. I'm so excited.
Thank you.
Okay, let's just take a seat right here.
Yoga Mata agreed to sit with me and demonstrate her abilities one-on-one.
So, Yoga Mata, I saw what you were doing in there. It's really amazing. But some people at home watching this video might think you're playing a trick on us. Are you playing a trick?
No. If they think I'm cheating, I have ridden a bicycle in blindfold. And if they think I'm cheating from under, I can see only under then. How can I just dodge cars and all of that? There's no way to dodge cars. So I'm not playing a trick. This is how I learned. This is how I know. And it's not a trick. It's just a mystical power they can learn. Anybody can learn.
And you told me earlier, you said, you can check my ears if you want. I don't have a microphone.
Yeah, I don't have a microphone. Because I don't keep anything in my ears. My ears are always like clean, except maybe for wax or anything.
So when you say you're seeing from your third eye, what exactly does it look like?
When I do blindfold, it looks like everything is just coming like an image, just pops up and goes. Sometimes when I open my eyes and see all looking around, like how I see you, I see many other stuff. How I look at it is like just an image, and sometimes an image, sometimes like how I look around, like with my normal two eyes.
It's obviously a very cool superpower, you can call it, right? That you can do. But how do you see the third eye awakening benefiting the world or other people?
Like, it gives them, like, you should be first self-confident with the blindfold reading, then it comes. Then with that blindfold reading confidence, it will just benefit you in the everything. Like I used to be scared of taking pictures or like people.
You were shy.
Yeah, I'm shy. I used to be shy. Now I'm like confident. Okay, I can do it. I'm not shy.
Between you and me, okay? I saw you playing with your friends out there. Can you use this ability to cheat and like when you're playing hide and seek?
Yes. When I was at my cousin's place, I was playing hide and seek with my cousins, my friends, my cousin's friends. We were all playing hide and seek. It was my turn to count. So I counted to 100, and then I'm like, okay. My mom came, and then okay. I told my mom, Ma, I know where they are. I know where they're hiding. So I exactly went there, and I found my cousin and his friend. I went to the next place. I found out my other friends, and then went to a few other places. I found them.
Is that fair?
Well, not exactly, but they don't know. I don't think they know.
And can you turn it on and off, or do you always see?
I can turn it on and off whenever I want. It's like my decision. I want to do it, and it's my decision. I do not want to do it. And sometimes, if I'm in a bad mood, if I try doing blindfold, it does not come totally.
Oh, so you have to be in a good state of mind.
Yeah.
Now, I brought a clipboard with me here. Can we try this and see how it works?
Okay.
Yeah?
You need a blindfold with me?
Yeah, we'll get one.
Okay.
Can you see what face I'm making at you right now? You don't think it's funny?
It's funny!
So I'm going to write something on this paper, and you'll read it to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's say I'm only writing one word. Can you tell me what this word says?
Love.
Wow. Pretty amazing. And now, if I draw something, can you see that?
Yeah, I'll tell you and I'll draw it again.
And you'll draw it again?
Yeah.
Okay. So here we go. I'm going to draw. I'm not a very good artist. You're probably better than me. Okay, here we go. Can you see it?
Yeah, it's a tree. It's like a Christmas tree.
Exactly, a cedar tree. Here you go.
Oh,
now.
it's a cedar tree.
Yes, and now you'll draw it for me, right?
Yeah.
And you can't see anything?
No.
With your physical eyes?
Yeah, with my physical eye. Then here's like a stump.
Yeah, exactly.
Like 1, 2.
Oh my gosh, you're doing each piece of grass exactly the same.
Then like this.
Even the, oh wow.
And 1, 2, 3 dots.
Wow. You didn't even draw just the grass. You drew it exactly the way I scribbled it. You're like, easy, right? Actually, you know what?
What?
I have a couple of pieces of paper in my pocket. Can you read them for me?
Yep.
I did these earlier. So, here's one.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, why don't you open it?
Know thyself, Swamiji.
Wow. That's exactly what it says.
I see a card right there.
Yep, there's a card, but let's try this too. What is this? Here's another piece of paper.
Oh, it's folded. Nothing. What?
I tried to trick you. It didn't work, huh?
It did not work.
So there's no tricking you, right?
No tricking me.
That's very cool. Yogamatsu.
Peace. Infinite waters diving deep once again. Can you hear those birds singing? We're in nature. Breathing in that beautiful prana. 5 foods to decalcify your pineal gland. Uh-oh. Can I get a hello there? If you've been watching my videos for 1 year, you probably know I'm a vegan. Even for 1 week, you probably know I love pushing that vegan message forward, that healthy eating message forward. Shout out to my good friend, Fully Raw Christina, doing great work. Lennon and Aida Honor, fantastic. Dan the Man. Jurian Ryder, Freely the Banana Girl, Preston Smiles. So many people are in this YouTube community helping to raise awareness and showing us that what we eat matters because it governs what we become. Now, I'm going to share with you the 5 foods. Let's start with the first one. Oh yeah. What is this? What am I holding up here? Have a guess. Is it kale? No. This, my friends, is watercress. And I eat this every single day. This helps to decalcify the pineal gland. But wait a minute, Ralph, what the hell is the pineal gland? I did a video, yeah. How to decalcify your pineal gland. Now the pineal gland resembles a pine cone, right? It's pine shaped. And it is responsible for regulating our sleep and wake cycles. It produces melatonin. It governs our circadian rhythm. And when you don't have a fully functioning pineal gland, it's going to affect your sleeping patterns. Also, it is related to the third eye. Why is watercress so powerful in decalcifying your pineal gland? When the pineal gland calcifies, it produces, or should I rather say, it leaves a lot of heavy metals, right? Watercress is full of what we call iodine, and iodine removes heavy metals from the bloodstream, right? But also watercress is full of antioxidants. It helps with the anti-aging process. You're going to stay young forever. You're going to get clear skin. It's packed full of nutrients. In fact, what is the most nutrient-dense vegetable superfood in the world? It is watercress. That's right, not kale. No, I love kale, sorry, but no. It is watercress. Salute watercress. This helps us decalcify our pineal gland. Thank you very much. What's next? What's next? Okay, am I doing weights? No. Pineapple. If you look very closely, let me zoom in there. Come on, camera. You can probably see that you got the pentagram, right? Right in the pineapple, okay? Come back to me. Great. Pineapples have one of the highest content of vitamin C. Now, vitamin C not only boosts our immune system, but it helps get rid of free radicals. Thus, if we are eating more pineapples, we improve our brain function. It also helps to decalcify the pineal gland due to the high manganese content. That's good to know, really good to know. What's next? Coconut. Got nuts? Oh yeah, we've got lots of nuts here. We've got coconuts. Shake it. Now, actually, there is a lot of talk that coconut water can be used as blood plasma, right? And that's very true. Coconut water can be used as blood plasma, but only really in emergencies. But when you are dehydrated, okay, shake it. You want to be drinking this, not a lot of sports drinks, because this helps rehydrate the body. See, a lot of cancer, it first begins when we are dehydrated, when we have a lack of oxygen within the bloodstream, within the cells, right? But coconuts on a deeper level are full of what we call lauric acid. Okay, and lauric acid, in a very simple way of explaining, boosts our immune system. When you are very ill, you want to be eating a lot of coconuts, right? But overall, coconuts are fantastic. They contain a lot of potassium ions. Potassium ions So once again, they make sure our brain is functioning properly. What's next? I'm feeling up food right here on the side. Not good. Bananas. Okay, this is where we really get into it. Now, I love bananas. A banana a day keeps the doctor away. Now, bananas, yes, are full of the amino acid tryptophan. Okay, so what? Tryptophan helps to produce serotonin. Okay, now we're going places. Now, the more serotonin you have, the more melatonin you can produce. That's why going out in front of the sun, serotonin is that feel-good neurotransmitter. So you eat bananas, you get the tryptophan, you get the serotonin, and you get the melatonin. Now your pineal gland is fully functioning. Now your third eye is activated, okay? And also you got the vitamin B here. Bananas do a lot for you. Thank you. Avocados, lastly. I love avocados. Now, the Aztecs called this the ahuacat. Ooh, let me say that again. The ahuacat, okay? Now, the reason why avocados are so powerful is because they contain a lot of lutein. This actually helps us see. This is correlated to our third eye, thus helping our pineal gland. Also, watercress contains a lot of lutein, right? But avocados are very high in the fatty acid, the oleic acid, right? So what does this do? It actually helps to insulate the myelin, which is that white matter in our brain. Have you seen it before? Maybe, maybe not. The gray matter, okay? And what this actually does is that it improves the brain function, because when you don't have a lot of myelin in the brain, what happens? Now the neurons are working at a slower speed, and that means brain processing is delayed. But once you're eating a lot of avocados, you're getting the oleic acid. Now the neurons, the information is traveling at over 200 miles per hour in the brain. You're flying. But also, they taste really good. Let me just add that in there. They taste delicious. So there you have it. Those are the 5 foods that will help you decalcify your pineal gland in a nutshell. Have a wonderful day. We're out here in nature, breathing in that beautiful prose.
Well, if you're feeling down and out and you're looking for a boost, how about this? Visualize 2 tiny parts of your brain and then exercise them, kind of like working out. Apparently, it makes you a happier person. That's Neil Slade's theory, anyway. He's a teacher, a musician, and an author. The book's called The Frontal Lobe Supercharged. Neil Slade is with us now from Denver, Colorado. Okay, explain the brain tweaking for us.
Well, first of all, it's a proven hypothesis. It's not a theory. We're talking about things in proven neurology. And what all I've done is I've extrapolated the practical points and made it easy to understand for anyone. We taught kids in kindergarten how to click their amygdala forward. So anyone, age 6 to 106 can learn how to do this.
Okay, so how would you do it?
Well, the first thing you have to realize is you have to understand how the human brain works. It's kind of like knowing where to put the key in your car, what the gear shift lever does. So the first thing people do, they can go to the website, read one of the books, is learn brain basics, learn a model of the brain. And I brought a model of the brain here, and this is actual to scale size.
Okay.
And very quickly, I'll show you the main parts of the human brain. Now, of course, the brain is divided into 2 hemispheres, right?
Right.
And we'll put this part down. Okay, now, we use Dr. Paul MacLean's model of the human brain when teaching people how the human brain works. And the human brain is 3 brains in 1. The inner part here is what is called by researchers and medical people the R complex, or reptile brain.
Right.
And it helps you to survive on the same level as a reptile. Now, surrounding that is another layer, kind of like the core around the seeds of an apple, and that's called the mammal brain, or the limbic system. Now, all of this part, which is usually what we think of when we think of the brain, is what you can see, that's called the primate brain. And the very whole front 1/3, from this point forward, is your frontal lobes, and that's the most advanced part of the brain. And that's what we're trying to turn on with brain self-control, okay? Now, when you have fear and negative emotions, it's because all of the frontal lobes are turned off. You don't have any advanced frontal lobes processes happening. But when you turn them on, that's when you get all kinds of internal brain rewards, and that's when you feel happy and pleasure. And so the trick is a little tiny switch right here, and I'm pointing to it if you want to zoom in on that. It's called the amygdala, and it's one of your brain's master click switches.
Is that kind of by the eye?
Well, actually, if you put your thumbs in your ears and your fingers in the corners of your eye and drag your finger down and point, 1 inch inside each temple is your amygdala switch. So you've got one for the right hemisphere and one for the left. So it's about 1 inch inside each temple. Little master click switch called the amygdala. And the trick is to understand how all the brain works. And then there are lots of different games you can play and methods for clicking this amygdala forward. Now, I brought this other little model that I made to show you what happens. Now, we'll say this is the amygdala switch button inside your brain. It's really inside your brain, but here I've made it an external one because it's easy to get to. Now, deep inside the brain, we see the red fight or flight survival reptile brain turned on, right?
Right.
That's always on because it controls your breathing and your heart rate and temperature, and allows you to run away from snakes and threats and things like that. If you click your amygdala switch forward, what it does is it then allows additional electrochemical activity to occur in the frontal lobes. And here we see now the amygdala has clicked the frontal lobes on full blast.
So for our viewers,
most of the time,
explain to us just a small little exercise we can do. So what you're saying is you kind of want to tickle the amygdala, right? You want to kind of look like a feather. Not really, but you imagine it.
Well, you imagine it. Your frontal lobes can compute abstract thought. You can imagine things. And when you do that, when you imagine things, create things in your mind that really don't exist, that automatically clicks on the most advanced parts of your brain. So very simple. If your viewers would just like to close their eyes while they're listening to me talk, imagine that you're holding a feather in one hand and that you can reach back through your forehead and tickle, 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 tickle your left amygdala button.
I like Tickle Me Elmo.
Do you know that laugh?
No, I'm laughing because, it just sounds
But that's
funny,
okay. That's good. Laughter is computed in the frontal lobes. You just clicked your amygdala forward.
Well, there you go.
Laughter and happiness is a positive emotion. And positive emotions are nature's way of encouraging us to do those kinds of activities that actually increase our survival. So when you click your amygdala forward and make yourself laugh, and when you think creatively, like tickling your amygdala, you're turning on the other 90% of your brain, as it were. Most of the time, we're only walking around. We've just got just a tiny trickle going into the frontal lobes. But by learning how your brain works, by learning what the amygdala does, by learning the difference between your frontal lobes and your reptile brain, you can crank it up. And then, hey, now we're talking about, nirvana, that kind of thing.
The enlightenment, the meditation.
Every religion, even if you're an atheist, everyone has a word for this peak experience where you suddenly have an understanding of the big picture, as it were. And it's always indicated by these very wonderful positive emotions. It's a peak experience. And that happens only when the frontal lobes have been cranked up like this.
Okay. How to see the aura, and here's how to see it on someone else. What you want to do is ask them to stand about 10 feet away, and they should stand on something like what I have, which is a plain white or a plain black background. And basically what you want is you just want something without any patterns, because that's going to make it harder to see the actual aura. Next, look at the person's nose right about here, and you want to look with a relaxed gaze. That means you don't want to stare. Don't look at the nose, because the nose isn't the aura. What you want to do is you want to stare at the nose, and then with the relaxed gaze, use your peripheral vision. The peripheral vision basically means looking out of the corner of your eyes. Here's the cool thing. Your eyes are curved, which means that they can see a different spectrum of light on the side, on the corner of your eyes, than you can head on. So what you'll first see around their head and shoulders is basically a transparent fog. Here's the thing. The aura, when you first see it, appears very transparent. Have you ever gone out on a hot day and you're looking at a car or a sidewalk and you'll see those heat waves kind of like shimmering? That's what it'll look like, but it's just going to be barely just an inch to maybe half an inch just off their shoulders and around their head. Once you catch it, you just want to keep your gaze relaxed. Don't get excited and stare right at it, because then it's probably going to disappear. Okay? So once you catch it, just quietly observe it, just watch it, and just notice it. It's like you're just studying it. And as you begin to study it, that's when the aura is going to start to grow brighter and to come more into focus. Now, if you're looking at their nose and you're trying to use your peripheral vision and you can't quite catch it, to move your vision from right at their nose to the center of their forehead. Just a slight movement up. Sometimes just that slight movement is all it takes to just catch it just for the first time. Because what you're trying to do is just notice it, and once you notice it, just to stay on it until you can see that it changes just a little bit. Some people can see the aura right away, others take a few minutes. Don't be discouraged, anybody can see it. Now this is probably something that for sure is going to happen. At some point, you're going to be seeing the aura, you're going to be practicing with it, and you're going to blink. And when you blink, it's going to completely disappear. Don't panic. This happens to everybody. Here's the funny thing, is that your mind, your consciousness, is plugged into your brain and your body, right? Whenever you blink like that, it tells your consciousness to reset. So remember, because you're watching the aura, you're tuning into that frequency of energy. As soon as you blink, it drops you back down to where you were before. The more you practice, the less this is going to happen. But in the beginning, it is going to happen. It happens to everybody. Just practice and you'll get your way through it. Now let's say you're by yourself, and here's how to practice seeing your own aura. We're going to start with your hand. And so what you want to do is, just like with a person, you want to find a plain background. White, black, whatever. And you want to extend your hand in front of you. Now you want to soften your gaze, and actually you want to stare right at the center of your palm. Kind of like you're looking at the person's nose. So you're looking at it, but in a relaxed way. And you want to look around the edges of your hand and your fingers. And ever so slowly, you want to start squishing your fingers together and then spreading them apart. And just see if you can notice an outline around your fingers. Just squish them together and then spread them apart. And if you squish your fingers together, then just start moving your hand like you're waving at yourself, just kind of slowly side to side. And it's the same thing, just like with a person, is you're just trying to notice that faint outline first. And once you catch the outline, sometimes the movement helps, but once you catch that faint outline, you want to stop, and then you just want to, in a relaxed way, just focus on trying to bring the aura more into view. The movement is just trying to get the aura to move into just the right spot in your peripheral vision, and then sometimes you'll notice it just kind of pops right out. And here's the cool thing, you can also do it with your foot.
Telekinesis is the ability to move objects by only using your mind. Many people have claimed to possess this psychic ability, or have at some point had some sort of successful results with telekinesis. You too can learn this skill with enough practice and patience. There are many different techniques you can use when you practice telekinesis. So choose one and then stick with that exercise until you see results. Before you start your telekinesis exercise, you must practice meditation and learn how to still your mind and body. So before you do the telekinesis exercise, do a 15 to 30 minute simple meditation exercise to center yourself. When you have done the meditation, you can continue with one of the following techniques. Technique 1. For this technique, you will use a side wheel. So take a piece of paper and cut out a small square Fold the square vertically and horizontally, and then diagonally. Let it balance on a needle attached to a holder. Make sure it is easy to spin the wheel. Spin it around a couple of times to get used to seeing it spin. Now place your hands around the wheel and gaze at it. Do not focus or concentrate too much, but simply gaze at the object. You may want to look at one specific point on the wheel, and then let your eyes be fixed at that point. Now focus on making a connection with the object. Let the object be a part of you, and see yourself being connected by a strong force of visible energy. The object is as much a part of you as your own arms and legs, and it is as easy to move the object as it is to move your own arm. You can say in your head, I know you. I know every part of you, and you are part of me. Sometimes it is more about creating a connection and get a strong feeling of being part of the object than actually focus on trying to move it. Technique 2. For this technique, you will also need a side wheel. So go ahead and make your wheel. Then place your hands around it and close your eyes. Now focus on your sacral chakra, the point right beneath your navel. This chakra is the second chakra and is your internal source of psychic energy. This chakra has a warm orange color, so focus on your sacral chakra and focus on energizing the chakra. Visualize the chakra spin in a clockwise direction while becoming brighter and bigger. The orange color expands. Take your time to really feel the energy inside you. Now direct the energy to your hands and out of your palms. See the orange energy as it moves from your sacral chakra to your hands and out into the space between your hands. When you are ready, open your eyes and keep pushing out the psychic energy from your hands. Let it be strong and let it vibrate so that it can move the side wheel. Technique 3. For this exercise, you can use any type of object, such as the side wheel, a pen that rolls easily, a feather, or anything that is light and easy to move. Now focus on your third eye chakra, between your eyebrows. Visualize a vibrating purple beam of energy coming from your third eye and hits the object you want to move. Imagine that you are looking at the object through your third eye chakra. Take control of the object and manipulate its energy field with your strong energy. See your purple third eye energy absorbing the object and its energy field that surrounds it. Your psychic energy unites with the object's aura. Now move the object by moving the energy from your third eye.
What I believe in is whatever suits best for you is the best way you're going to be able to do this. If you don't work well in a clear state of mind, if you need things going on in the background, go for it, okay? Because I used to need music in the background. I've now grown past that. I can now just like fill my mind up with, because I need a lot going on up here. So I can fill my mind up with a lot of thoughts, and it will make moving objects a lot easier. So whatever you work best in, maybe you need some music in the background, a movie in the background, something going on, or like just challenge yourself. Oh, sorry about that. Challenge yourself beforehand. Read a book. Get your mind thinking. If that's what you need. If you work best with a clear mind,
by all means do that. Okay? So, first of all, get into the right state of mind. Okay, that's step one, get into the right state of mind. Second of all, pick a light object. Okay? Now, saying that this is a light object for me. A light object for a beginner would be a pen. Okay? Or even... No, not a pencil. Pencils tend to be a bit heavier than pens, because pens are a lot hollower. But whatever's the lightest, okay? Grab a light, long object. Okay, I say long because you don't want a small object that could just go anywhere. You want something that will just go in one movement. Okay? I still struggle at moving things like around. I can I'm pretty much good at doing this and not really as levitating as much. Okay? I'm more of a pushing force. I can't really levitate objects that well. The most I go is like this, and it'll just drop. Okay, I haven't got it to that point. Okay, so just saying. I've been doing this for a while now, and yeah, so that's step 2. So step 1 is get in the right state of mind. Step 2 is pick a good object. Okay, to actually do it. Okay, sit there. Just get everything going. Get into your right state of mind, and look at the object you want. Okay? Visualize this object. Okay? Visualize the surrounding area. Know what you're working with. Know the environment you're working with. Don't just picture an object and nothing else. Because at the end of the day, you're working with the whole environment around it as well. So it's not just this. Okay? So yeah, do that. I don't know what step I'm up to, so this is probably the 4th step. 4th step. Actually, we won't go with steps. I'll just tell you what to do. Okay, so you got this, everything around it. Now, a lot of people will tell you got to visualize like a 3rd hand coming out, and like a hand from your head or some I don't know, but yeah, coming out and grabbing it, and pushing it for you. Like you're not physically touching it. It's just mentally you've created a hand that's pushing it. That's bullshit. Okay? How are you supposed to work with a hand that you have oh yeah, I'm going to create a hand in my head? This is a hand that you have never seen, felt before. As if it's going to work for you. What you have to do is just look at the object, look at the environment. Say, just in your head, just figure out if you were to actually physically touch it, how would it go? If you were to get your hand right, whichever hand you work with the best, I'm a right-handed, I'd get my right hand. If you were going to grab it and push it, try and just do it for a few times, just see how it goes. Just over and over, just as long as you need to do it. Seriously. When I first started, I did this for 10 minutes before I actually, got from here to here. Seriously, I went through the whole table just like this. 10 minutes when I first started. Even before that, I was doing it for half an hour. I've heard people that just sat there, and it's ridiculous, and I wouldn't have done it. If I knew that, I had to do as much as they did it for about an hour and a bit. Now, imagine doing this for an hour and a bit. I'm saying, if you're willing to put that time and effort in, by all means, do it. But me as a person, luckily, I was able to do it a lot faster. Okay, sorry about that again. So yeah, just keep doing that until you sort of see how it goes. Be consistent, don't go like this. Okay? Be consistent. Just go for it. Okay, and then go back to the start and just try and recreate that experience. Don't use your hands, don't visualize your hand doing it, visualize your head doing it. Okay? So you gotta go, alright. I forget what step I'm up to because I'm not going off a little script thingamajig, so I don't know what step I'm up to. If that doesn't work for you, maybe you should try, pardon me again, getting into the right state of mind a lot more. Maybe for about 15. If you're going to do it for about 5 minutes, do it for 10 minutes, do it for 15, do it for as long as you get comfortable with your surrounding environment. And you're doing this, you should be able to get it at least, probably a centimeter at least. You should be able to move it, okay?
Can you lift this one? Lift this one.
I first met him in the early 80s in a Chinatown of urban Java. He didn't want his real name or address revealed, so we called him DJ for Dynamo Jack. He was only a healer, he said, but he did direct a powerful energy generated from his own body into his patients. Sometimes he used the needles, sometimes just his hands. He called the energy Qi, and it was so strong that he usually needed a grounder to hold his patients' feet. For years we followed him around Java on his healing rounds, pleading to be allowed to film him, but he always refused, saying his powers resulted from a type of meditation with an ancient tradition of secrecy. It was only when my brother Lorne was suffering from a serious eye infection that he finally allowed us to film him in 1987.
It was nothing like any acupuncture I'd ever had. I was getting really powerful electric shocks and couldn't control my movements at all.
In yang positive and negative, you know, and my positive from here and my negative from here, and we meet together, this can get like electricity.
And is this because you're special? You have a special sort of
it's meditation every day.
It's meditation that does it?
It's meditation every day. Like you can touch me, like this. It's nothing, okay? It's my burn. Just like this.
For our sound recordist, it was also a shocker. He then took our newspaper outside and showed us how Qi can also be used to set things on fire. When he heard we'd shown this footage in public, he was very upset and refused all our future efforts to contact him again. As the years passed, we sadly resigned ourselves to never seeing him again. My brother Lorne never did, for by 1997 he was already dead, when I again found myself with DJ, now treating me for an eye problem. But it wasn't this that brought me back. He had tracked me down out of the blue and invited me to tell me a story. He had just returned from 2 years on a deep meditational journey, alone in the heart of Borneo. Amongst his revelations, he had seen, he said, how history was moving on into great change, and the old wisdom was vanishing. So he called me back to film just enough of him to remind us that we all have undreamed of powers sleeping within us, and that there's nothing special about him except for his training in waking them. Grounding this patient, my cameraman Joe is having to use all his weight to keep contact. The chi is pushing him away. He seems able to control the amplitude of this chi, like a dimmer switch, and it causes uncontrollable responses in the patients and their grounders.
I can barely keep my hand on you. It wants to fly off. The electricity is so strong.
This mother unwittingly grounds her child. He won't sit still, so she's asked to hold him and grin and bear it. Sometimes signs of this passing energy can be seen in the transmitter too. This chi stuff is only the surface, he says, of the real adventure beneath, in the meditational technique. Projecting chi from the palm of the hand can also be used to resist rifle pellets, he says. First, you learn to distinguish between yin and yang qi in your body. Then how to pool it in your navel chakra. Then how to project it, he says. And it's the proportionate mixture between yin and yang which accounts for different effects, like pulling or pushing objects or igniting them. Then he gets really strange. He says that mastering yin qi is the key to the spirit world. There's a long tradition of Indonesian krisis being possessed by spirits. So people bring him their krisis to see if they're duds. Here, he says, he doesn't manipulate matter by projecting mixtures of yin and yang qi. He merely creates a field of yin energy in which, he says, if there's a spirit, it can manifest itself. So I invited a small group of scientists back from the United States with measuring equipment to test if DJ was for real. And if so, where might this energy belong on the electromagnetic spectrum? Catherine Cook, CEO of the Mind Science Foundation in Texas. Dr. Roger Nilsson, a Swedish medic and international racing sailor. Dr. Greg Simpson, a physicist from New York's Albert Einstein University, and Andreas Polak, one of DJ's Australian students. The visitors are confident they'll uncover him as a fraud in no time. Greg is the first guinea pig, and he's uncomfortable about showing that he can feel anything at all. Dr. Roger doesn't know what to expect. Out comes the metal detector, like the things they use in airports, to see if he has any concealed metal in his body. Then the voltmeter, to try and measure the chi. But how to get it to work? Where's the ground? What settings? DJ suggests that as his negative is his perineum, and his positive is his navel chakra, perhaps that's where the electrode should be attached. He doesn't stand on his dignity. He's eager to help, but still no readings. They're getting shocks off his arm, and now they're on the right settings, but the needle still isn't moving. DJ says it isn't electricity, it's chi.
It's 1, 2, I feel it in my whole body. I feel it at 3, 0.3, I feel it in my legs. Shit.
But suspecting there's some tricky setup on his premises they can't find, they insist we all go to a randomly chosen hotel room several miles away to see if he can light a light bulb with his fingers. It doesn't ground on the wall. So Greg holds and grounds one wire, while DJ pumps chi through the other. The bulbs are LEDs, light-emitting diodes, which ignite in different colors according to the intensity of current.
Yes. On, off,
Brilliant.
Oh, you're blinking.
Things were going well. DJ was enjoying it too, until he invited us all out to lunch at his local, where he tried to push a chopstick through the table. He couldn't get it through the Formica surface, so he came up through an inch of wood from underneath. Not only did he draw his own blood, but a chopstick splinter had caught Alison here between the eyes, drawing more. The incident was laughed off apologetically, but next morning he was a different man, drawn and upset. He said he'd been visited all night by his long-dead master, raging that he'd broken the strict taboos of his sect, never to show off in public and never to cause harm or draw blood. He felt deeply chastised. All further testing and filming must end. Never again would he submit to public scrutiny, nor accept any new students. He would sink from sight and continue his healing in obscurity, as he had done since before we met him in the early 80s and had always told us was right.